Well, just as Memorial Day weekend begins, gas prices have reached another record high. AAA and the Oil Price Information Service say the price of a gallon of regular rose more than 4 cents overnight to $3.87.5. But it's worse for drivers in Alaska, Connecticut, California, New York, and Illinois, where the average price is already more than $4 a gallon. And analysts say with global oil prices continuing to climb to new highs, pump prices throughout the rest of the U.S. could soon rise well above the $4 barrier as well.
Well, one of the problems that we've had for a number of years with the media, and the entire media, mostly journalists, is that these charges get put out there, either against the Bush administration or somebody else, and journalists don't really examine the substance of them like they do during a political campaign, at least in the Washington Post and sometimes on O'Reilly with his reality check on this channel. They look at certain claims and promises to see what the facts are behind them. And the facts are, as you suggested, no president has the power to increase or to lower gas prices. Those are market forces.
Congress, what if it's just the fact you got a booming global economy, you got China and India that are slopping up all this oil faster than we can these days, and that is a not so sinister response to what's going on?
Well, let's say
nothing to do with President.
You know, at this point, it really is tough for this president, I have to be honest with you, because he really does not have any control what's going to happen with the markets and with the economy and with oil prices and supply and demand and gasoline. It really is out of this president's hand.
Yeah. Most Americans are getting hammered by high gas prices. Yesterday, oil hit a record high, and politicians cannot do a thing about it. So whenever the barrel of oil goes up, they correspondingly raise all of their prices to make as much money as humanly possible. I say the folks should be angry about that, should be angry, should cut back 10–15% of their buying of all of these people. If we all did that, would that drive the price of American gasoline down?
Well, I don't think you're talking about a boycott. You're talking about general conservation,
yes.
Losing less energy.
Correct.
Absolutely. The only thing we can do is start to use less energy.
All right, so if every American who owned an automobile or an air conditioner said, I'm going to use 10% less, 15% less, the prices then would fall.
Yes. Yes,
Okay.
if we kept it. Now, what happens in this country? What happens in this country all the time is there's a price spike. We react. We use less gasoline. As soon as that price goes up, we go right back up.
But
we're good at reacting, not conserving.
I think people now know, and they should. Politicians can't do this. They can do temporary fixes like gas tax holiday.
Yeah.
It is so painful what's going on with Americans across the country, and what they should do, and this is what I would advise, get rid of those gas guzzlers. Buy a decent insulation for your house, and start telling your local elected officials, get on the stick and do some more mass transit infrastructure spending, because those kinds of fixes could really help Americans across the country.
If ANWR drilling were permitted, and President Bush 41 said basically no, President Clinton said no, and this president said no. Today he's now changed, or at least at some point he did. What difference would it make to gas prices, and how much could we produce based against our daily consumption?
Well, interestingly, the energy economists in the government made an assessment just a few weeks ago, and what they came up with is it would reduce the price of oil about 40 cents a barrel, or maybe as much as $1.40 a barrel. Right now, the price is $130 a barrel.
So what did that do to my gallon of gas?
Did not really change it much at all. The problem is that even though, President Bush today said 18 billion barrels of oil in ANWR, the Saudis have 266 billion barrels of oil. It is really a small amount of oil if you look at worldwide reserves.
One statistic that I was given is that if we drilled in ANWR, we would get 4% of our daily consumption of oil. So we only get 4% if we go there and do.
They said at peak we get about, 800,000 barrels a day out of ANWR. Right now, we're using 20 million barrels a day. We are using so much oil that it is literally a drop in the bucket.
All right, to the extent that we can, and we'll talk about offshore next week maybe, but it looks like we need to figure out how to curb our appetite if we're not going to get our production up even with that.
Right, the problem is as long as we depend on oil, we're going to depend on foreign governments for oil.
So the next time you hear a politician say he or she will bring down oil prices, understand it's complete BS. If Americans want lower gas prices, cut back. Sell those SUVs. Ride a bike when you can. If every one of us bought 10% less gasoline, prices would fall fast. That's what the candidates should be saying. We need a strong leader who's honest, smart, courageous, and willing to explain dubious associations. That's what we need.